Call to order the Shakopee Independent School District Board meeting for August 25th to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Berg.
Here.
Bowerman.
Yes, ma'am.
Hallett. Here. McKeon.
Here.
Swanson.
Good evening.
Tucker. Here. And Romansky.
Here. I'd like to recognize any visitors for this evening's meeting. Anyone wishing to speak is welcome to come forward. Please state your name and address for the record, please, and try to limit your comments to 5 minutes. Please come forward.
My address is 12680 North Shannon Drive, Shakopee. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to speak tonight. I've watched with great interest the passing of the new legislation for the Minnesota Safe and Supportive Schools Act. Apologize, I might get a little emotional. I also watched with equal interest the July school board meeting. I really wish I could have been at that one. My interest toward the Shakopee School District is directed to what will be done to implement, administer, and enforce an anti-bullying policy. It is not enough to have an anti-bullying rally and a policy. Having a zero-tolerance policy or a policy that is taken very seriously should be a policy that includes the procedures that district staff is expected to follow. Procedures that they have been trained on comprehensively and consistently, and should include how reports will be made and logged, and to whom they will be escalated and when. My interests are also in how the district will make our schools safe and supportive for all kids, including those being bullied with special needs or medical diagnoses. One of the things that the Safe and Supportive Act means to me is that all students should not have to fear going to school because they are hurt, intimidated, or made to be uncomfortable, especially repeatedly by anyone. I believe you all have a copy of some questions that I provided to Chair Romansky earlier today. The questions that have been circulated are just a start. I should also state that I'm here because I don't share the opinion that was provided in the July school board brief. The one that stated, because of the strength of our existing policy, we only need to change a few sections. I do not share that opinion. I understand that you cannot answer these questions tonight. There's a lot of them, and like I said, I have more. But I'm bringing them to you for consideration in order to create, implement, train, and follow a procedure on this very important topic. If I can prevent just one other child from the hurt and anxiety of reporting bullying that is not taken seriously, then I've made a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kearns. Is there anyone else this evening? If not, we'll move to the consideration of the agenda as presented. There are some additions to, let's see, the acceptance of resignations, approval of certified contracts, I believe approval of non-certified contracts, and let's see, approval of assistant principal contract, and the policy 514 bullying protection. Am I correct on that, Sarah?
There is one additional long-term sub.
long-term sub as
Yeah,
well.
but then I think you have it, Mary.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes. We'll move to item 4, which is consent. Is there a motion to approve the consent item?
Moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion will carry. We'll move now to number 5, old business discussion items, and we'll go to start with 5.3, which is our student admission process in communications beginning with the 2014-15 school year. And I believe JP and Assistant Chrissy Shoemaker will be presenting, and John Janke.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
me.
We actually met with Chrissy this past week, I guess it was, and we learned a little bit more about how we would manage and how we'd operate from an administration standpoint with the admission and getting kids in and out of games. And I thought it would probably be a good public awareness for them to talk about it, since we have sporting events that have already started, and we have a couple big intros to the new conference with volleyball and football and others. And so we asked if they might give us a report there, and then we'd go right into also our activity busing, and there's some good positive things happening there. So, Chrissy?
So with the approval of all students getting in for free to sporting events this year, we came to the conclusion that would have a really good way to track this, to see how many students are coming to games, and additionally make sure that the students in the games are, behaving appropriately and doing what they should be doing, which is cheering on our teams. So we have decided that all the students will need student IDs this year. JP has been working on that with LifeTouch. LifeTouch is providing cards for all the students in the district, and on that card will be a barcode. So the same kind of barcode that you would see on any label at the grocery store, same type of thing if you would go to a pro event and see a barcode on a ticket. With that barcode, we have a gate management system called Ticket Tracker. It's an online-based system, but part of their system is reading these barcodes with kind of these handheld scanners. So these scanners will be at all of our games, and as students come in with those IDs, we can scan the barcode. That barcode, once it's downloaded at the end of the game, will tell us who's in the game, how many students have attended, how many adults have attended, how many people have purchased tickets, as opposed to how many people have come in with their volunteer passes that we provide in the office. So just kind of wanted to give you an update on that. Like I said, this would be at every game, and by the end of every game, we would be able to download these and look up the attendance on our iPads and know how many people are at the game.
Yep. And what I would add to that is LifeTouch was excited to work with us on this. They're going to get us at free of charge ID cards for every student that have these barcodes. So it's right, because we've gone with LifeTouch for a number of years, and essentially every one of our schools in the district uses LifeTouch. They're providing the cards for us, and then also what they're doing is they're willing to provide the district with printers, so that if we have a student that enrolls later on, or students lose things from time to time, I'm a former junior high principal, I experienced a little bit of this, then we can get them a new ID card so they can take advantage of this. This is, I just think it's a really good idea, and I think definitely LifeTouch is partnering with us and making it as easy as possible.
Any questions? Go ahead, Sean.
Does it have their photo on them?
It does.
So we won't be receiving them until presumably after picture days
Yeah.
are all completed?
Yeah.
Correct. And so obviously we have games happening before that date. What we are doing in the meantime is we kind of have what I've been calling a barcode cheat sheet. So this will be at the gates, and we'll be able to track each student by which school they go to. We won't be able to individualize it until the students get their IDs, but at least we can track them by school.
And we also talked and we were worried about that, because if you think about picture dates and then retakes,
Right.
you know, we're into October now. And so, one of the things that Life Touch is going to do is they're going to send us the pictures, the ID cards, as the pictures are being taken. So we're going to get these yet in September. We're not going to have to wait till October. But as students miss their picture date, we'll get their picture, the retake done and get them an ID. So, yeah.
JP, in addition to picture, which was my question as well, is the thought that these would be multi-year by any chance? I mean, kids can change a lot, but if it didn't have a picture, theoretically, you could use it for multiple years. Is this gonna be an annual thing, or is there any thought to that yet?
I think this group talked about this being a year where we evaluate it, whether this is something we want to continue into future years, and if that's something is that the board agrees that, you know, we like the data that we got back as a result of this, and we want to continue to use it into next year, then what we would do is we would just make their IDs at the beginning of next year, the ones that they still have from this year, able to get them into games, and then what we can do is we can then reset that once the IDs come out for next fall, for the 15-16 calendar year.
So then they would get it, theoretically, get a new ID each year.
Yep, they would get a new
So
ID
the
each
picture
year.
would remain current.
Yes, yes.
Any other questions, Chuck?
What is your policy? Because obviously kids are going to lose them. So what is your policy going to be when they show up and say, "Oh, I lost my ID"? You going to let them in, or?
We had kind of talked about that. Do we make them purchase a ticket? Do we let them in? At this point, I think with Dr. Thompson, we agreed that we would find a way to evaluate if they were a student, whether that be, okay, we have to have you step aside until we can pull you up, just to make sure that you're, you know, who you are, who you say you are. But his goal, and I think the goal of the board, was to make sure that every student can get in for free.
Great.
You can't pass for this.
I already have a pass.
Are there other possible uses? I mean, could this be linked to the lunch account or something like that, where having an ID would be beneficial throughout the day?
Yeah, we could. We'd have to get, I think we're gonna test it and see how well it goes here. We also wanna see how quickly we can get people through the lines, because I think what people in the lunchroom will tell you is getting kids fed in a timely manner is kind of a big deal.
Yep.
And so we would wanna make sure that going through the lines isn't slowing them down. So if we find a technology that is fairly good at getting people scanned and then moving forward, then yeah, this would be something that we might leverage using through the lunch lines. You know, I might even expand upon this. We might use this as students getting it on and off buses as well. So.
Yeah, the more they use it, the more important it becomes to them. That means they're, in theory, not gonna lose it.
Yep.
Chrissy, did you mention, and I maybe didn't hear it, did you mention the ability to purchase the ticket?
No, I did not. So with the ticket tracker software, they have also provided an option for people to go online and purchase tickets to the games. So as part of their program, you can actually go on to the activities office website right now and buy your ticket for Thursday night's football game if you would need to. You would print it off just like you would if you were going to a concert or a pro event. And it would just have that barcode on the ticket. What they also do is they also have an app that you can download onto your cell phone and purchase a ticket through this app. You could be up at a football game, don't want to stand in line. We're going to have the QR code posted. They can go up, snap a picture of the QR code, download your ticket, show the gate person your smartphone, and this would be able to scan their smartphone.
So the people that go to the ticket window are gonna get a ticket also there with a QR,
Yes.
with a barcode?
The people that go to the ticket window are going to get a barcoded ticket that looks just like that. So everything that comes through our gate will have a barcode on it. Even employee IDs will have a barcode on it, our volunteer passes, barcodes. Everything will have a barcode, and if it doesn't for some reason, like our conference passes, since we're the only one in the conference that's doing this so far, we'll have a barcode for them on this cheat sheet.
Any other questions?
I have one question. Are you gonna have a separate line on Thursday? One for the adults and one for the kids? Because that might take some time. Is there a
Yes.
speed through pass?
We have 4 of these scanners, and all 4 of them will be at the football game.
Tell them to give up myself there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? want to move on to the next one, the activity bus?
Sure. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I think I'm going to turn most of it over to Mr. Janke here. As part of our activities this year, it was made to our attention that a bus home after practices would be really beneficial for our students and our parents in the district. So we've decided that we will be running activity buses home as well as the activity buses after school to get kids from school to school. We'll be running 2 separate timed buses. The first one will be at 4:45, and that one will leave from all of the junior highs. And it will pick up from the junior highs, come to the high school, and where the kids at the high school then will kind of figure out which bus will take them home. Then there's going to be 4 different buses that'll go off in each direction of Shakopee. Bus drivers will be there to help them make sure they get on the bus. We'll be there to help them to make sure they get on the bus for those first couple of times. And then that bus will take them home, drop them off as close to the regular bus stop as possible. Then we will be running a second shift at 6 o'clock for the older kids that are at the West Junior High and High School for like the 9th through 12th grade sports.
I think it's also important for everyone to know that the idea behind the activity bus is for certain it had to probably its beginnings in the sports, but it is also for the academics and the clubs. So if Mr. McKeon wants to is a 6th grade teacher at Pearson and wants to hold his math student, a couple of them after for some extra learning or whatever, they can work that out and they can use the activity bus. So when you think about activity buses for just sports, it's not. In fact, I think it's almost predictable that we'll see more students on activity buses for academics and then club types of activities. I would also remind people this is for grades 6 through 12, and just like the free admission to increase opportunities for all families and all kids, the activity bus is a 1 year for all kids and families to see if that's something that work to the advantage of our kids, and both academically, the arts and athletics.
Question?
Maybe just to add to that, Dr. Thompson, to your point, the plan is for the after practice, after activity buses, the plan is for that to run every day we're in school. And so, for example, there's periods of time in the school year, especially for our junior high athletic programs, where we don't have practices or there's a little bit of a dead period between seasons, and we still plan and anticipate having the buses run every day so that there's that student, so the teachers are confident and they know and understand that they can comfortably tell a student that they can stay after school and make up a test or do some study or work on a packet or whatever the case may be and still get a ride home.
Reggie?
What real-time flex capacity do we have if the bus going to Southbridge seats 55 and there's 72 kids that want to get on it?
You know, we had a junior high preseason meeting last week, and we took some signups for that for those that thought they might be interested in it. We do have junior high programming that starts tomorrow, and that's just athletics, and that will be Tuesday and Thursday. And so we're going to kind of test run it Tuesday and Thursday. We're working that through with the bus company. All of it is a little bit, it's a plan. We think it's a good plan, but it's a plan that is going to have some contingencies in it. And the good thing is at 4:45, in particular at 6 o'clock, there is additional buses available because at that point they're finishing up routes of taking kids home at that point.
So Chrissy, when you were talking about the junior highs, did you include the Pearson 6th grade center with that, or kids will not be picked up at Pearson?
We will
Yes.
pick them up at all East, West, Pearson, and then they will land at high school.
And then the last thing, what about the students that are not normally allowed to ride the bus that live within a mile of the high school? Are we going to be giving them rides home?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
But you could be taking them to a bus stop though that is a good distance from their home if they live.
Theoretically, yeah.
In that case, they
Maybe
probably
further walk.
because be
From
farther
the
ride
corner
bus.
from their
The reality is, The goal is to provide more opportunities for students in every way, shape, and form. There's gonna be kids that take advantage of this to get home and be involved in after-school programs. There's still gonna be a lot of kids that mom or dad pick them up after practice or after school. There's still gonna be kids that walk home. And there's still gonna be kids that get a ride with, after practice or after an event with the neighbor or the, relative or an older brother or sister or whatever the case may be.
Sean, go ahead. She's almost afraid to raise her hand.
Just so that I understand a little bit of how the logistics work, and maybe so that our parents in the district do as well. If Johnny decides in third hour that he needs help with studying for his science test, is he still? Do bus drivers get a list of students who are supposed to be?
We are working through that with each of the, in particular, the junior high principals. We think junior high in Pearson, we feel like that's more likely to happen there. And our goal is to make sure that those kids certainly do have that opportunity to go on an everyday basis. The kids that are doing it on a regular, everyday basis, our plan is to give them a bus pass so that they are on and off on a regular basis, but also provide the teachers that may be keeping that child or asking them to stick behind, have them an opportunity to give them a day pass to go on the bus that particular day.
And Sean, maybe I can answer that question. For example, one of the ideas that principals are working through, and I think they've really thought through this and have a good plan, is that they would just have a shared Google Doc with everybody in the building, and then as teachers need kids to stay after school, they would just populate those students' names into that Google Doc, saying that they stayed after school with me. And then then there's a building supervisor that stays after school, and that they go down and get their passes from that building supervisor, and the supervisor references that Google Doc. Oh, so I know that you stayed after school with Mrs. Hallett and you're working on math, so here's your pass and you can get on the bus. That's one way that we can also make sure that students are staying after school supervised and not going off campus, leaving and then coming back to catch the bus home.
Very good.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ann.
Was there any thought or a plan in place for those that typically would ride a special ed bus and need extra supports?
Actually, there was, and I talked to Julie about that very thing. Right now there's a 48-hour in advance because a lot of our kids need special accommodations. And we talked about what the current policy is and what's reasonable. And Julie, if I'm not mistaken, what's reasonable now is a 48-hour notification of services. Is that correct?
Yeah, it would be just like if we were starting transportation for a student with special needs. If they require special transportation to come on an activity bus, we're going to ask for a 48-hour advance notice. That may or may not always be possible, but then we will get it set up so they also can have a bus ride home from an activity bus. I have talked with the bus companies, and as you know, sometimes they can get it done sooner if it's an emergency, but they will ask for the 48 hours, but we'll be able to get it done.
So would the plan be they would be on a separate bus, or they would just have extra support on the bus?
They would, if they require special transportation during the school year, they would receive the same type of transportation home, so it would be a separate bus or
Okay.
van.
Okay.
Yes, maybe.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Maybe one last point to be specific about is this is a bus to get home after practices and after school activities. This is not a bus to get home after your 6 o'clock contest in Faribault to get home at 9 o'clock when you get home. That's still a parent pickup after that is they're returning from an event of that nature.
I think you guys had talked about too the possibility with some other type of software, to Matt's point, those scanners or something like that might be able to serve the dual purpose of as soon as a kid comes on the activities bus, the bus driver zaps their ID, and then that way when they're done they could download, and then we have a list of all the kids who rode the bus too. So certainly that's something we could look at down the road anyway.
Anything else? If not, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing how both of these programs are going to work.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Then we'll go back to 5.1, which is Framework for Education Forward. Dr. Thompson.
Sure. I think it was important and we've, to talk about where we've been as a group or an organization. And I just wanted to give the community a very brief update. The board and myself and our cabinet and actually quite a few of our principals have served in a capacity where we're We've been meeting as a facilities group throughout the summer. Boy, I don't know how many nights we've been there, but it's been a lot. And we're coming to a crossroads or a point where we're going to be making some, I guess, recommendations as a facility group, just as the community has heard the recommendations from our academic group and our technology group. And what I would want the community to know is that as we look forward to next steps, over the course of the next month, our facilities group has spent a significant amount of time looking at options. We've come up with, as a group, maybe as close to 21 different options that basically was kind of a grassroots effort. People got a chance to, almost like pieces of a puzzle, put together on a table what they wanted most, and then they could do variations, almost like families of options put together. So maybe there's an option A, B, C, D through F, and then under each one of those families could also be multiple options. And in all, I think it's about 21 different options that they've looked at. From those options, what they're going to be doing tomorrow night is they're going to be looking at taking those options and seeing if we can't shrink that option of recommendations or moving forward down to maybe 3 or so of their most preferred options. They're not looking to rank, they're looking to look at what options seem to be, through the groups, their top 3, are there 3 that rise to the top. But I think it's important because during the last referendum, there was some communication that not enough options were explored. So of the 21 options, one of the other pieces of getting our public involved is to do a public opinion survey. What that public opinion survey will look like is we'll take the information that the facilities group has worked on from the months of work and the hours and nights of work, and we've put that, our architects have put together their taped post-it notes, their puzzle pieces, and they've drawn up now what those options look like. Then underneath it, they've got the pros and cons that came up to each option, again, developed by the members of the facilities action team, and then costs. And what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of those options, the 21 options, and we're putting it together in a special edition of the Shakopee Valley News with hopes to go out end of September, early October. And in that will be a description of where did all these plans come from. Every page will have the option, those 21 options, so you'll have the visual, you'll have pros, cons, cost, and then we'll also have a page or two of what we're kind of framing it as amenities. And what I mean by that is beyond solving the enrollment issue, it would be things like a sheet of ice or turf or aquatic center, the list goes on. We've asked the facilities group to take a list of 45 different options, a lot of those which came actually from the first referendum saying we sure wish we had this as an option in our community. And then the facilities group did actually go through and rank and prioritize the amenities that they would like to have first on the list, second on the list, and so forth. So in the special edition newspaper, what would come out is not only the pictorial, but a back page that allows people to, if they want to just do kind of cut it out with a scissor and fill it out, it's asking you for your ideas and concepts of telling us what you want for enrollment options, but also what do you want for amenities. They can hard copy turn that in. Otherwise, also on the Shakopee Valley News website and on the school district website, and I'm sure on other kinds of social media through the district, we'll allow people to go on there as well and give their opinion. Our goal is to be able to have the facilities task force hand off to the guiding coalition who serves in a consulting role to the board, a facilities group opinion, a public opinion where we hope to send out 20,000 newspapers to our community, and then thirdly, a professional survey done by the Leatherman Group with very specific questions to be designed by the school board. So you as a school board would be able to triangulate all of that data and come up with some ballot type questions Whether that's in December, January, or February, that's what we're kind of thinking for a time frame or a timeline. And maybe I would just end with the overview by saying, I think it would be important for the community to know, one of the other kind of rumors or gossip that was out there during the first referendum was that maybe the board or administration was trying to ram a plan through. And it would be important for the community to know that the administration and the school board have absolutely tried, we have not entered in, we have not given opinion, we've been focusing on listening, and listening some more. And so what comes out of the facilities group is a true indication of what these volunteers